Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast with Kyra Howearth. Hi, I'm Kyra, business astrologer, moon manifesting mama, author, teacher, and mentor. I teach you how to harness the energy of the moon, stars, and cosmos so you can manifest your dreams and discover a deeper purpose to your life. Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. We have Leonie Dawson on the Moon Manifesting Podcast. Hello, Leonie.
Oh, mate, it is such a joy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. So a little introduction about Leonie for those of you who may not have seen her, but chances are if you're following me, you do know Leonie because I talk about her a bit. But anyway, Leonie Dawson is an Aussie multi-millionaire who built their business from working around 10 hours a week. She is outrageously creative and inspires people around the world to manifest their dreams with ease. Leonie is a best-selling author of the My Brilliant Year workbooks and mentor and course creator in the Brilliant Biz and Life Academy, which includes incredible courses such as Work Less, Earn More, Marketing Without Social Media, 40 Days to a Finished Book, and so much more. Leonie is passionate about helping others to build wildly profitable businesses while staying true to their authenticity. So welcome, Leonie.
Oh, babes, you read that out and I go, who is that hot person? Oh, it's me. Nailed it.
It's always such a humbling experience when like someone writes a nice little introduction for you and reads it out. Like it's always like, oh, that's me.
Mm. Mm.
So, Leonie, I kind of like view you as the goal setting and manifestation queen. Like I look at you with like so much awe about what you've been able to manifest in your life. And I always like recommend your resources, such as like the Goal Getter workbooks, which I have right here on my shelf, which are now called the My Brilliant Year workbooks. And these books have been really essential for me for setting goals for like the year ahead. And so I kind of wanted to lead in with that in mind to ask the first question, which is all about how do you set your goals?
Mm. I set my goals using the workbooks, like the goals workbooks, because I created them for myself in 2009. I was pregnant with my first baby, and I really wanted to create goals, set my goals for the year ahead. I knew becoming a mum was going to be really big and challenging, and I wanted something to be able to hold on to when things got very difficult and very confusing. And when I looked around, there was really no goal workbooks out on the market, and anything that was goal oriented was very, very masculine, very like black and white and career and money focused. And that was not my vibe. I wanted rainbows and unicorns and mermaids, and I wanted to set areas of every single area of my life and my business, from creativity to spirituality to self-care, family, adventures, work-life balance, all that good stuff. And so because I couldn't find what I wanted, I decided to make one for myself. And when I finished making it over the space of a few days, I was like, this is really cute. I should put it up on the internet and see if somebody wants to do it with me. And if we had like 10 people do it, that'd be so cool. But it went on to be used by like 1,000 people in the next few weeks. And then it sort of snowballed, because every single year people would buy it again because they realized what a huge difference it made. And then they would get their friends to do it as well. And so now there's like 500,000 people worldwide who've used them, which is just magical. And I still use that process of like, okay, taking that time to vision and dream what I want to birth, and then sticking close to them, making sure that I look at them regularly, keeping them front of mind for me, and setting goals around that. But I also like to have a lot of freedom so that I can decide what I'm going to do that day, that week, that month. I'm somebody who really values that sort of freedom and not like scheduling everything in for myself and just letting the magic take me wherever it will.
Oh, that's exciting, isn't it? It's nice to like, yeah, not like lock yourself into a box and just to have that freedom to be like, oh, this is what I feel like creating today sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, so what I found like with your goal getter slash my brilliant year workbooks, when I first like opened up the workbooks, I was like, oh my God, there's like areas in here that I've never actually thought about setting goals for myself. Like I never really thought about like a reading list for the year ahead, for example. And I'm a Gemini, like I should like I'm always reading, right? But I never set goals for myself in that area. So what are some of the other areas that you'd like to talk about from like the workbooks? Like, because it is really unique. Like you said, a lot of the other goal setting workbooks out there are very masculine and money focused and that sort of thing. But your workbooks go into all different areas of life. Yeah. So tell us a bit more about that.
Sure. Like one of the big things is that I always, like at the start of the workbooks, we do a review of the previous year. And that's really important because you need to take the opportunity to see what worked and see what didn't, and see what wisdom and lessons you can take out of it, and also come to peace with the past year as well, because some years are really bloody tough. You have enormous soul lessons or just really difficult parts of your life journey come up. And so we need to go through that process of healing and regenerating and coming to peace with it, so then we can move forward with more confidence. Other areas that, people set goals. I love one of them, which is a list called 100 Things to Do, in 2023. And it just stretches you to come up with just some absolutely wonky, weird goals. Like, oh, I just want to try this kind of meal out this year, or go to this place, or I want to try saying no more. It really helps to kind of extend those parts. And then I also include, like, we go into the health section. What does my body need more of? What does my body crave? Eating more or moving more. It gives a whole bunch of different fun ways to move your body. And even when we go into money as well, it looks at, like, what are some more ways that you can up level your money mindset and become a better money custodian as well. And it gives you a bunch of options that you can start doing there as well. It's so much fun.
I agree. And I really love like it throughout the workbooks, how you do have like these beautiful, and it's all like hand drawn, like in classical Leonie style. But you do have like these pages of suggestions, like even like books to read about like certain things, and like movement suggestions. Like it's also beautifully illustrated and fun and inspiring. It's like I did a manifestation workshop recently, and we were sitting there and some of the attendees just weren't sure about like what goals to even set for themselves. And I find that your workbooks, they really guide you through that process of like, okay, there's this area of my life. Oh, what goals can I set in this area? Like it really guides you through that whole process so that you can create a magical year ahead. So yeah, I love your workbooks. They're so good.
Oh, thank you. I do too.
So once we've set goals, what sort of like manifestation process do you follow? Like, what are the steps that you take after you've set that goal to make that happen? Like, do you just go out there and just do the thing, or are there sometimes other things that you might need to do beforehand?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things that I do. So first and foremost, I write down an action plan of like every single step that needs to happen in order to make that happen. And sometimes I don't know how it's going to happen. If I set like a really big income goal or whatever, I'm like, who knows how I'm going to get there. But I just write out and brainstorm a map of like what possible things might help me get there, what possible things might I need to learn, what courses might I need to take. And also at the same time, looking as I go along and get into it, looking at any blocks that come up for me, like energy blocks, mindset blocks, and working with people to help clear them. So, for example, I did 10 years with Hira, who is an intuitive in Canada, and did an enormous amount of work with her, and I'm very, very grateful. There's a kinesiologist in Australia, Kerry Rowett, who's also a dear friend, but she's just incredible. And I've been hiring her for 10 plus years now as well, to just help me clear out any, if there's subconscious fears or worries that are coming up that needs to be cleared as well. And then I really just throw everything at it. So for example, Denise Duffield Thomas talks about anchors. And so I bought myself like a little necklace with crystals on it that felt like a really good anchor for my next goal. I also make these big posters for my goals. So for example, for a money goal, I do like a big fundraising thermometer, like charity goal, like charity people do when they're trying
Yeah.
to raise funds for a charity. And then I'll color in up the thermometer as I start bringing more money in. And it's just such a powerful reminder for me about what I want to create. I also have a goal at the moment for my academy. I want 10,000 members in there. So I drew a poster with 10,000 squares on it. And I color in every single time somebody becomes a member. And it's just such a beautiful, like, visual process for me to keep it all front of mind.
Yeah, I love that. I really love like bringing that like visualization in like a real tangible way. Like as you're progressing along that goal, it's like, yes, I'm getting there, and it keeps that momentum going as well. That's really cool to know. Thank you. So what about when, and you've kind of answered this, but like sometimes people set goals and then they get stuck with bringing them into reality.
Mm.
So kinesiology is something that you just spoke about, which I think is really, really helpful, like clearing those energy blocks. What other advice do you have for people who might be stuck with manifesting their goals?
Mm. Sometimes it's because you just don't know what the next step is. That's where a really good brain dump can come in handy. I always say that a piece of paper can solve most problems in the world. So break it down. And if you find yourself just like frozen, stuck, that might be just an executive functioning sort of thing. And so break the task down even further so that they can be accomplished in 5 minutes instead of, say, for example, you're like, oh, well, I want to create this in my business. And in order to do that, I need to create a lead magnet. And then you're just like stuck at creating a lead magnet. One, it might be an education problem, like you don't know how to. So in that case, you need to, read about it, learn about it, get that information. But then also break it down. So instead of just going, I need to create a lead magnet, the first step is opening a Google document and naming it the name, coming up with a list of things that the lead magnet could be, brainstorming what it could format it could take, whether it's an ebook or a video or whatever. And then from there going, okay, well, how can I break this down into even more bite size? Like, okay, I need to write 500 words for my lead magnet today. When you've got them into actually like accomplishable goals, that will be so much easier to achieve than just like a big goal that feels impenetrable.
Yeah, yeah, that is really helpful. Like even like when it is like such a small kind of goal, like I mean, for you and me, I feel like a lead magnet is, kind of a small goal, but like when you do break it down like into those really easy steps, it makes that whole process so much easier to get unstuck and actually just get the thing done.
Mm.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Um, do you have any resources that you would like to share with our listeners to help them get started on their goal setting journey?
Oh, sure. If you go to leoniedawson.com/free, I have a whole page of free shit, including posters and coloring books and even little mini goal workbooks for children. That's free, just to like get you started on making a beautiful life for yourself. There's a meditation on there, and really just getting you into that space of dreaming big dreams.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, one of your favorite resources on that freebies page is there's a weekly business planner, I think it is, or maybe yeah, I think it's a weekly one, or maybe it's a monthly one, but
Oh,
I've
yes.
or maybe you even have both. I'm not sure. I've downloaded so many things from the freebies website page. And yeah, like really helpful for not like we're not just talking about like your personal goals here, but also for business goals as well. And like breaking down like, how much money you want to make that month and how are you going to make it and that sort of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, so definitely everyone who's listening, go check out leoniedawson.com/free. Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah. Free
Yeah,
shit.
all all the links will be in the show notes below anyway, so you guys can click through and check out all these amazing free resources. So I guess that kind of segues into like my next question, which is all about business goals. So I feel like so far we've been talking like more kind of geared at like general personal goals. But I know I have a lot of business owners who listen as well. So let's talk about like manifesting like a certain income within your own business. What's your advice there, Leonie, for business owners who maybe have an income goal and they're not quite reaching it and they're not sure how to get to that next level?
Mm. Surrounding yourself with other people who are heading in the same direction as you is really useful, whether that's online or in person. It just helps you realize like, oh, it's normal for me to achieve that. And then find stories of people as well who've done what you've already done. And sometimes just knowing that it is possible and is doable helps to clear that mindset block. For me, education and learning from people who've already done it has been by far the best investment that I've made in my business. It's the thing that has made my business. It's like I regard like buying online courses and books and mentoring programs and things like that. It's like my university degree, except it is a cheaper university degree and it makes me a lot more money.
Yeah, definitely.
So the education part is it's really, really useful. And wherever you can be with people who want to make that big magic happen is really, really potent. And I say this, I just finished up at the Heart-Centered Business Conference, which Tash Corbin runs every year here in Noosa. And usually I don't go to conferences. I think the last one I went to must have been 5 or 6 years ago. And it was just incredible to be in sort of a woman-centric space, especially, and everyone celebrating each other's goals, and to be around everyone who makes this normal was really healing for me. So if it's healing from me as somebody who's been in this industry for 20 years, it's going to be healing for anybody who's wanting to get there on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Like when you surround yourself with like-minded people, no matter like where you're at, like it always brings something new to the table. You always leave with like that inspiration and that motivation and that like your vibes are higher, I feel like it. Yeah, it's always so good. Um, so the next kind of business related question I have for you is like, I know that you, one of the things that you talk about a lot is how you managed to build your business by working about 10 hours a week.
Mm.
And I know that you have like a whole course, Work Less, Earn More, which is so good. But maybe if you want to share like a few tips about that, like how can people start working less and earning more?
Sure. So firstly, people always misassume two things when they hear about my 10 hours a week. They think it's because I'm rich, that's why I can work 10 hours a week now. And for me, that's never been the case. I've only ever really been able to work part-time hours in my business because while I was building it up on the side, I still had an Australian government job in Canberra. And I didn't leave that job until I was giving birth to my first daughter, and then I was a full-time mum. And I wanted to be really present with my kids. So 10 hours a week was really all I could wedge out of my life when I was working or when I had my first baby. But I was, I convinced my husband to quit his job after we had our baby and just rely on my business instead. So I was the solo breadwinner for the family. And so I was like, shit, okay, I need to make cash, but I need to do it in the shortest period of time possible. So it just helped have that kind of intensity of like, okay, what's the thing I need to do today in order to make maximum impact with minimum effort? The other misassumption people have is that I can have such a short work week because I have a really large team. And so I have a business and I've done on average $1 million a year since 2014. But my team is two assistants who work together, a combination of 25 hours a week. And I have had a larger team before. I had like 25 staff at one point, and discovered that I actually had to work a lot harder and a lot more in order to manage that large team. And so I think I was having to work like 20, 25 hours a week at that point, which sucked. I didn't like it at all. And I know that that's enormously privileged, and people are like, 25 hours a week's amazing. But for me, it just isn't, it's not doable. I've got autism, I have hypermobility, and I had small kids at the time. So it just wasn't my vibe. So for me, how I run a very lean company with a very, high revenue and high profits is by being very, very intentional and killing off most of our task list. I remember reading the 4-Hour Work Week when I first came out, and I just took it literally. He talks about Pareto's principle being that 20% of your tasks create 80% of your income. So you can just kill off the 80% of tasks that only create 20% of your revenue. You'll still have most of your revenue. You just be working, 1/5 of the time. So that's what I do. Like, behind me is a very long list of unfinished tasks. I only do the things that are actually really, really important to do and that I've promised clients. And, I want to guarantee that I fulfill all of my client promises, but there can be so much busy work in your work and so much nice to-dos, and you can just kill off a lot of those nice to-dos.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like the Pareto's law, like the 20%, 80%, like that made so much sense when I first learned about that from you. It was like, oh wow, like I can really kill off a lot of that stuff that isn't actually making a difference to the money I'm bringing in, or like the things that I actually need to do. So that's that, like that tip right there is so good. So that kind of also leads on to my next question, which is all about not like the elephant in the room, social media.
Yeah.
Because like a while ago, like you released a course, Marketing Without Social Media, you quit social media and you've come back, which like I love seeing you on social media. It is so inspiring the way that you've come back, and it is like hilarious. Like some of the videos that you come up with is just so good and so relatable. But yeah, I'd love to know more about like why you decided to come back to social media, because I remember from your Marketing Without Social Media course, it was like one of those things where, it was like 80% of your time for only 20% of the
Mm.
income generation. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, let's talk about social media.
I love that. I love it. For me, I decided to take 21 days off social media. And this is 2 or 3 years ago now. And it was just something I really needed to do and craved to do. And I read 2 wonderful books, How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price and Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. And I highly recommend them, whether you're thinking of leaving social media or not. It's actually just really useful about simplifying your life and regaining your time. So I did the 21-day kind of self-challenge and immediately was like, I don't want to go back. I genuinely don't want to go back. I wonder what it would be like if I could run my business without social media. And also, like, I have been in the online business for so long that I've been selling online for far longer, like way before Facebook or YouTube was invented or anything. So I know that online business doesn't just run on social media. I took time off and I was like, I wonder how much I can extend this, like I wonder how much further I can go. And so I ended up taking 2 full years off social media, and I really genuinely didn't intend to go back because, the thing that I learned along the way was there are literally thousands of ways for you to market your business. Social media is just one of them. All of them are completely optional. And social media is not necessarily the cheapest or the fastest or the most efficient way of doing it. It often is something that takes a huge amount of time without any discernible results. So that's what I did for 2 years. I brought in over $2 million while still without being on social media. And it was so great. Um, and the reason I decided to come back was because I am somebody who doesn't do well with rules, even if those rules are my own. And so at a certain point, creatively, I was wanting to create stupid videos. Like I just wanted to make stupid videos. And I was like, well, I can't do that because I've said I'm not going back on social media anymore. And I really chafed against the rule I'd made. And then I thought, okay, well, I need to give myself freedom to do whatever the fuck I like. And if that means going on social media and creating however I like, then that's the way it will be. And I can leave again at any point. I can go on hiatus anytime. If it just doesn't work or if it sucks and I hate it, I can just bugger off again. It's no biggie. I can be free. And I can also take back into social media a lot of the important lessons I learned, which was to make sure that you use social media in a way that works for you and not to get sucked into social media. So I don't have social media on my phone. I have it blocked on my website, like on my computer all the time, unless I am intentionally going in there to connect, and I'll set a timer, or I'm going in there to create content and then I'll batch it and schedule it. So I usually schedule for a week ahead. And that's been really useful. So I'm grateful for every part of this journey, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I love how that, like, and like even what you've just spoke about, like, you know, when you are still using social media, you're being really intentional about it. Like you're still really implementing all those things that you taught in your marketing without social media course, like having it blocked, not having it on your phone and that sort of thing. Because I know that like in my own personal experience, sometimes I can get really sucked into, oh, I've got to post something every day. Oh, I've got to show up in my stories and all that sort of thing. But we are allowed to make our own rules and we're allowed to change our own rules as well. So that's so reassuring. Thank you so much for sharing and being so transparent about this as well. Because yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it. Like it's yeah, it's it's a bit of a weird subject. Like we're all so hooked to our phones and no one really wants to acknowledge just how much time we're spending on social media.
Mm, absolutely. And honestly, those books, like How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price, so poignant and so beautiful. And it also reminds you of like, it's actually like not a failing of yours to get addicted to it. It's intentionally created that way. That's how social media companies are built, is to see what they can do in order to keep you in there for as long as possible.
Yes, yes, so true. So, do you have any final words to share with our listeners today, Leonie? Any final words of wisdom that you'd like to impart?
Mm. I think the most important thing I want people to know is that having goals isn't a selfish thing. Having dreams is not a selfish thing. I genuinely believe that your dreams and ideas and your inspiration, they come to you from the angels. And it's because the angels want to see healing in this world and they want to see good things for all beings to be at peace, but they can't do it themselves. Like as part of like the laws of free will, they are unable to enact that physical change in the world, and instead they have to plant those seeds into humans, and hope and pray that those humans take action on those seeds of ideas and inspiration and birth them into the world in order to bring about healing in whatever way it needs to happen. Like with your work, it's helping people become more connected with the moon and with manifesting and things like that. Vets do it by healing animals. We do it in all different ways. And so trusting that your ideas and your inspiration are there from the divine, from the angels, and they are cheering you on like a little cheer squad. They're chanting your name and just hoping that you'll birth those dreams into the world.
That is so beautiful. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Leonie. Beautiful words to end this episode on. So, thank you so much, Leonie, for being a special guest on the Moon Manifesting podcast today. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you, to learn from you, to be inspired by you. And I'm sure all our listeners are feeling really inspired now to work less, earn more, and go get those goals. So, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, bless you, Kyra. It's been a joy.
Thank you so much, Leonie. And for all our listeners, stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll be back with another episode next week. Thank you for listening to the Moon Manifesting podcast. If you're wanting more moon magic, check out my book, Moon Manifesting. Download your free Moon Manifesting calendar or connect with me on social media. You can do all of that at kyrahowearth.com.au. Stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll speak with you in the next episode.